Chris, this has to be one of the types of games that you dream of. Seemingly anything you threw up from three, it was going down. It was all smooth. What were you feeling out there on the court?
I was just excited. This is my first time playing in the postseason. So just to come out there and have energy was the biggest thing for me. And I'm just excited I get to keep playing basketball games.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the scout coming into this? Seems like the corner threes were set up early and often for not just you, Chris, but for everybody else. Milos, you had a really effective game. Talk a little bit about the scout and coming into this.
I'll take this one.
Yeah, I got you. I think just for us, offensively, we kind of knew they were going to switch, and they were kind of leaking out of that corner to help. So we kind of just, put them in ball screens, and I would say abuse that scenario for them. And then just for us defensively, I think we just stay focused. I think the first 10 minutes of the game, we weren't coming out and playing hard. So I think that was the biggest thing for us in timeouts, is having major energy.
Particularly Chris, but both of you guys, was it in your mind that this would be your last game if you lost the game?
I don't think I necessarily thought that way. I think I just went out here just to, have fun and try to win it. I never think of anything as my last game. But, eventually it will be. So, obviously, taking that sense of urgency, and I think we did a good job of that.
For both you guys, what was it like playing with TT tonight? It seemed like he was seeing the court really well, 7 assists. What was his impact like?
TT is awesome. That's what he does. Finds open guys, doesn't turn the ball over, which is huge. And, yeah, TT is huge for us.
How does it feel to keep playing? You guys are still alive and still have season left.
I think for us, it's another chance to get better every single night, and another chance just to show what Cal basketball we can do. And, obviously the goal next year is to be in the tournament. So, this is a good stepping stone.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for the guys? All right. Thanks for all.
Sure.
Appreciate you. Really good team win tonight. I'm not sure if I need to look at the film and look at the analytics, but I'm not sure if Justin missed a single shot in the second half. He might have made every single shot he took. TT Carr, 7 assists, 1 turnover. Chris Bell, 31 points. Just dagger shots when they counted. DJ off the bench with some huge plays. Milos, 2 steals. Justin Pippen, 4 steals. Our guys played well. It was good to see. Open to questions.
With Don and then Jim.
Coach, talk about that slow start. Was that an execution or was that an energy issue? And what did you do to kind of correct it and, obviously get going there at the latter part of the first half going into the second?
Don, we tried to play a lot this week. Just as we kind of do an inventory and do a snapshot of the way we finished our season, one of the notes I had is that we need to play way more in practice. Now, we do a lot of drills. We play live, but I'm talking play full court up and down. So we did more of that this week. We did it Sunday. We still came out flat, but our guys settled into the game and had a much better second half. So I don't have a great answer for you. We'll need to study the film, but the trend was much better towards the end of the game.
Mark, have you ever been a part of a team that had so many legit weapons from the perimeter? And have you seen many shooting performances like Chris? I think he missed 2 out of 10 three-pointers.
Chris Bell is a special player. He's a special person. His work ethic reminds me of the work ethic of an NBA player. No matter how hard the practice, he's always getting his shots after practice. He's incredibly diligent academically. He loves to play the game. There's been areas of his game that he's wanted to improve on, and he's dived into those areas and really taken steps forward. And so I can't understate anything about Chris because Chris is just an outstanding player.
It seemed like a very special moment there for BJ Fisher at the end. Could you talk a little bit about that?
A lot of times the heart and the soul of a team isn't necessarily starting in a basketball game or playing heavy minutes. Sometimes the heart and the soul of the team is a guy like BJ Fisher, who shows up every day, who's in there with physicality, banging guys. BJ Fisher has added probably 8 to 12 pounds of muscle to his frame, and he was already a strong guy. He got that ball, he drove in the lane, he absorbed contact, probably could have been an and one. And BJ's a guy that if he's on scout team, he's doing that. If he's an open gym, BJ had a couple practices to start the summer where he was just having game-winning shots. And so I think it was great for the team to see that, for BJ to show himself that he can do that and more. And I think overall the community, everyone around the school just absolutely loves BJ.
How would you characterize the significance of this win?
Well, Jake, someone told me that it might be close to a decade that Cal hasn't had a postseason win. And so that's great to see. We wanted to be in the NCAA tournament. We did not play well enough throughout the course of the season to get in. But I believe that hopefully we can do something special in the NIT, and it can be a springboard and a catalyst to going into next season. I think this year we'll retain more players than we've ever retained. And I'm very excited about that. You know, we continue to need business leaders to step forward. Jake, as you've been in Silicon Valley for a little longer than me probably, because I've left a couple different stints, but the amount of resources we have here in Silicon Valley. This is the world headquarters of AI. There are probably Cal grads taking companies public monthly with huge resources. And so we need to continue to tap into these business leaders to help us with retention.
Do you expect to retain Pippen and Hayes?
I expect to retain an incredible amount of our key guys. And we'll be talking more about that in the coming weeks.
Joaquin and then Jim.
On a different note, can you talk more about TT Carr's game? 7 assists, seemed like he was making all the right decisions out there.
Well, at halftime, I told the group, I said, guys, TT has 5 assists, no turnovers. Unbelievable job off the bench, and he continued that in the second half. But he does that all the time. Against UCLA, it was a 5 assist, 0 turnover night, I believe. Over at Kansas State, it was something similar. I mean, TT is just beginning to scratch the surface of his potential. He plays way bigger than he is. He's maybe 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", but he plays huge, and he was huge for us tonight.
Mark, obviously tonight is the night to celebrate a win, but just a little look ahead. Did you kind of do a little pre-scouting on your potential next opponent? It looks like it might be St. Joe's now.
We set it up so that we have at least one coach on our staff that is an expert on an upcoming opponent. You know, most of my focus has been on UIC. Now that we know our opponent with certainty, I'll dive in. But we have an expert on staff that's been grinding the film. Now, the challenge was Sunday night when we heard we were playing UIC, because we got that word at, around 7 p.m. And you know, we had to dive in pretty quickly on that and get a lot done before the 7 a.m. practice the next morning.
John and then Jake.
Coach, can you talk about that Ilic and Dort split on playing time and just impact on the game? Ilic 25 minutes of coming off the bench. Hugely effective. The plus minuses, you know, in a vacuum, are the split between the two it's kind of crazy. Talk about that center play between the two.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Milos, you know, plus 31. His impact out there was huge. You know, diming people up, an assist to John, getting key rebounds, got a steal, and then took it coast to coast, shoved the guy with his left arm. A very heads-up play. Lee was fine. Lee wasn't himself tonight. He didn't have that spring in his step that he normally has, but that's not a problem. I have no doubt that Lee's going to be back to himself in our next game. Lee has been and continues to be a huge part of this team and a huge part of this program.
Are you okay with taking 28 three-pointers?
Well, I mean, look, if we make over 50% of them, Jake, and Jake, this is our conversation that we've had, beginning back, you know, take it all the way back to October. But yeah, I mean, the key is taking good ones. Most of them were good tonight. There are a few that were bad, but most of them were good.
Any last questions? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.